Indie developers are threading the needle this week in between the autumn sale and the next festival, so we have a good-sized week of new releases, including shooters, Metroidvanias, action games, narrative games, brawlers, and horror games, given that it is October after all. So let's begin with Battlesuit Aces, a card-driven tactical RPG that fuses mech warfare, visual novel storytelling, and deck-building strategy into one cohesive experience. You lead a squad of mech pilots, each piloting customizable battlesuits in turn-based 5v5 combat, where energy types, card synergies, and timing determine every outcome. Each pilot brings unique abilities and relationships that affect your playstyle as you deploy attack, defense, and support cards, swapping between pilots or stances mid-fight to counter different threats. It is very retro anime, perhaps Gundam-like, and comes to us from the developer of Battle Chef Brigade, so I expect the quality to be high. Dying Breed is a retro-inspired real-time strategy game that is basically Command & Conquer, which includes base building, resource gathering, and large-scale combat in a post-apocalyptic alternate timeline. You choose between the human or mutant cyborg factions, commanding troops across land, air, and sea, pushing across the map to claim territory and choke out your opponent. It will have a single-player campaign mode with multiple missions for both sides, along with full-motion video cutscenes and a 90s electro-metal soundtrack that might make Frank Klepacki proud. I grew up with CNC and Red Alert, so of course this is my jam, bringing this style of game to a new audience and just looks so good. This video is brought to you by Confidential Killings, a detective game, immersing you in late 1970s Hollywood, where a string of grisly, seemingly unconnected murders have occurred, affecting actors, producers, and writers, but might be linked. As you uncover dark threads behind the glitz, you play as a detective, exploring crime scenes, scouring rooms, examining evidence, interviewing suspects, and piecing together clues in your casebook in order to solve the mystery. As your investigation unfolds, you unlock keywords, which can be plugged into spaces to reconstruct what really happened, Mad Libs style, in order to find the culprit. Each murder adds depth and mystery, with rumors of a cult being the one behind all these killings, with deception, betrayals, and secrets driving the narrative tension through every chapter. If interested, they released a demo available right now on Steam and will also be in October's Steam Next Festival, so play that and wishlist the game. Diamond Blades is a brutal first-person slasher that combines action RPG depth with roguelite replayability, plunging you into the Diamond realm to hunt down your former mentor, known as the Hermit, who has betrayed the Order sworn to protect the realm. You'll wield Daemon-infused weapons that increase in power as you spill enemy blood, unlocking abilities, traits, and upgrades mid-run, while also keeping an eye on the corruption that these weapons cause. Combat is visceral and fast as you parry, dash, counter, and exploit enemy attack patterns, fighting across diverse biomes filled with relentless foes, and even take on bosses in epic encounters. It is a roguelite, so levels are procedurally generated, so pick your path forward, weighing risk and reward, providing challenge and variety. It also has co-op support for up to 4 players, which is interesting, where covering the weak spots of your allies is critical, as well as reviving downed characters and using powerful combos without forced co-op mechanics. There are meta progression elements between runs that will make you stronger for the next attempt, with the brutal first-person combat being the appeal, and interestingly, comes to us from the developer behind Divine Cybermancy and is set in the same universe but 2,000 years before that game. An adorable title is My Card is Better Than Your Card, a sticker-driven roguelike deck builder about kids playing cards in friendly playground rivalries, where you craft each card by layering stickers on top that grant effects, synergies, and surprises. You start off with base cards and a catalogue of stickers, and will trade or combine stickers to evolve your deck, feeding into the tug-of-war style combat. Cards gain power by how many stickers and which types they carry, but overload them and they might become too costly to play, so you have to balance creativity against practical constraints. Between matches, you explore minigames and events such as treasure hunts, flea markets, sticker shops, and story encounters, affecting which rivals appear and what buffs you unlock. Each opponent has a unique style, so part of your strategy is learning about how they build their cards and adapting your sticker tactics accordingly. I love the whimsical nature of this game, bringing me back to a simpler time, designed to be accessible yet complex if you know where to look. Still, an alternative to the Slay the Spire style energy system based combat is a welcomed addition and will definitely be for fans of the genre. My newsletter to get a weekly dose of what's hot, along with some news and of course weekly game giveaways, so if interested, link is in the description below. On paper, perhaps the biggest game of the week is Deathground, a co-op survival horror experience which has gone viral on social media a number of times, where up to 4 players are plunged into a derelict Aeon research facility overrun by deadly dinosaurs, forced to complete objectives, scavenge gear, and escape before they become prey. You'll sneak through labs, corridors, and open chambers, managing stealth, line of sight, noise, and resources, since reactive predators hunt using sound and movement. Use specialist items like medkits, motion detectors, hacking tools, or tranquilizer rifles, and coordinate with your squad to overcome both environmental traps and dinosaur threats. The dinosaurs are varied and unpredictable, ranging from nimble raptors to massive predators, each with behaviors you must learn, be it to bait and distract them or to avoid them entirely if you can. There is some degree of procedural generation in terms of extraction point locations, changing objectives, and the layout of the map itself, creating tension and replay value, since no two runs feel the same. Dinosaurs can be pretty freaking terrifying, and this looks to nail that, but then again, given that it is a co-op horror game, maybe it might delve into the unexpected comedy of games like Lethal Company. I believe this is running on Unreal Engine 5 and looks great visually, looking like some sort of mix between Jurassic Park and Alien Isolation, and has the potential to be huge. Other games begin with Arcane Path, a roguelite deck builder which casts you as a doll, awakening with no memory, in a crumbling enchanted city where automatons and arcane golems bar your route to the royal palace. You'll navigate through corridors and chambers, confronting enemies in card-based combat where every move is tactical, selecting cards, skills, and artifact bonuses to chain combos, exploit weaknesses, and shape how each battle flows. Before each run, you pick one of 12 ancient artifacts that grant signature powers, altering your initial deck of cards, and thus also steer you towards different playstyles by influencing battle rewards, letting you explore different strategies across runs. Progression happens as you unlock more cards, strengthen your artifacts, and unveil more about the narrative, with whispers of an ancient book and hidden ritual lore tying everything together. The tone and visuals blend mysticism, gothic fantasy, and poetic ruin, giving every fight weight and context, looking very impressive. ATAK, Angry Tussling Awesome Knight is a fast-paced action real-time strategy game where you command knights and troops across chaotic battlefields with both direct combat and strategic command. You switch between issuing orders and diving into the fray, sending units forward while personally engaging in key fights with your hero to turn the tide of battle. The battlefield is dynamic, where terrain, unit placement, and hero intervention all matter, so creative tactics like flanking, baiting, or sudden blitzes can win you the battle. As you conquer regions, you recruit new units, upgrade squads, and unlock hero talents, battling your way around the single-player campaign, which spans 6 warlord-held regions, each with distinct themes, challenges, and bosses to topple in major battles. On top of single-player, you can challenge friends in local PvP, or test your mettle in minigames or boss rush modes, with a kind of throwback visual style as well that looks kind of neat. A sci-fi visual novel with good pixel art is BatteryNote, where you play as a mechanic who rescues 3 robots from a scrapyard, being able to recharge their batteries for a limited time and to decide on how their last moments will be spent. You interact with each robot through dialogue and choices, but can also experiment with applying high voltage to provoke reactions, all while their battery life slowly drains. Each robot has a different past, including a diner waitress, a security unit, and a combat robot, each with different personalities and multiple endings. Of course, I have to commend the 4-color pixel art, which looks awesome and could be a narratively interesting game. Beacon of Neyda is a side-scrolling strategy survival game set in a post-revolution ancient wasteland where the rusty ones roam and humanity's last bastion struggles to stay alive. You build and expand a base across multiple locations, fortifying defenses, repairing towers, and deploying drones or turrets to fend off waves of mechanical enemies. Each base you claim becomes a safe zone you must protect, and the core tower's integrity is central, since if it falls, the base falls as well. You explore abandoned ruins for resources, research technologies to unlock better defenses, and uncover hidden lore that reveals why the robot uprising collapsed and what secrets the land still holds. As enemies grow tougher and more varied, your design choices in tower placement, drone behavior, and upgrade order becomes critical strategies, balancing offense, defense, exploration, and economy with a grungy kind of pixel art as well. The long in development Cairn Mathair's Curse makes it to launch, and first caught my attention many years ago, primarily due to its visual resemblance to Earthbound. This is a heartfelt Scottish JRPG centered around Alex and his mother, thrust into a journey when an ancient curse erupts across their homeland. You'll travel through handcrafted towns, woodlands, and caverns, solving puzzles and battling enemies including a cult. Combat is standard turn-based stuff, but where each party member has unique skills, and battles can get absurd since you're facing enemies like roaming haggis, bewitched stop signs, and many other surreal foes. Between battles, you explore, talk to quirky NPCs, search for secrets, and follow the story steeped in Celtic myth and Scottish atmosphere, telling a story of loss and family, and will be a good 25 to 30 hours, being the hidden gem of the week. Publisher Critical Reflex is crushing it and are back with CARIMARA Beneath the Forlorn Limbs this week, a quiet horror adventure where you step into the ragged skin of the CARIMARA, a small, mute, sorceress being born of moss and mirror light, wandering a house woven from grief and old echoes. The game doesn't arm you with blades or spells, but rather you're using cards and questions, conjuring inquiries from dust, bone, and memory, but try not to press too deep lest you awaken something that remembers your name. It's very weird and strange, having an art style that makes it stand out, leaning more into the adventure game category, but certainly having those horror overtones where the world doesn't seem quite right and you need to figure out why. This is a short 60 to 90 minute experience, so adjust your expectations as such, but again, it's perfect for this time of year. Dicealot is a high-stakes roguelite dice builder drawing upon Arthurian legend, where each roll carries risk, reward, and a dash of madness. You dive into run after run, gathering magical quest dice, crafting the hands that shape your attacks, buffs, and combos, deciding whether to push your luck or to lock in safely in this digital fantasy version of a real-life dice game named Farco. It's a push your luck kind of game where one more roll could deliver a crushing blow to your enemy or bust your turn, which causes you to lose out. Like most roguelites, you will get the chance to visit shops between battles to buy new dice or to upgrade existing ones, but you do have to factor in the luck of the roll when it comes to these, with various upgrades that tweak the odds in unpredictable ways. There are 10 unique weapons, 100 plus dice, 30 plus enemies, and 7 difficulty levels, offering something different in this space with an excellent art style as well. Dreams of Another is a third-person exploration action shooter in quotes, built around the concept of no creation without destruction, where every shot you fire builds the world instead of breaking it. You play as the man in pajamas, a wanderer moving through surreal dreamscapes, piecing together memories and fragments of identity scattered across shifting planes of light and sound. Each area begins as a void of floating particles that take shape only through your interaction, so the act of creation becomes the core mechanic. You encounter puzzles that rely on reshaping geometry, forming platforms, and constructing a path through. As you gain new abilities, your power to sculpt the world grows, letting you build entire structures, manipulate physics, or rewrite environmental rules that govern each area. Other than your character is one named the Wandering Soldier, whose fragmented consciousness intersects with your own, revealing philosophies of art, memory, and self-creation. The ethereal, almost liquid kind of environments look awesome, where I was told that the music in particular is a critical part of the game, leaning more into the video game as art direction, but still has interactive mechanics and looks like a joy. A very different kind of game is House of Necrosis, a turn-based horror RPG drawing upon classic 90s survival horror sensibilities, where you descend into a mansion that reshapes itself every time you enter, and is more of a traditional turn-based, grid-based roguelike. You navigate through the hub world using tank controls, complete with pre-rendered backgrounds which are faithfully done. Before you access the various parts of the mansion, switching into the aforementioned turn-based combat here. Each run has you managing scarce resources since tools, healing items, and ammo are difficult to come by, and every encounter may be your last. As you progress, you level up, upgrade weapons and get new abilities, and gradually prepare for deeper incursions into the more corrupted parts of the house. I do love the almost original Final Fantasy VII looking character models and animations, nailing it in terms of aesthetics, and is a curiosity for sure. Lethal Honor Order of the Apocalypse does have quite a generic sounding title, but is a sleek looking hack and slash action roguelite steeped in eldritch horror, with a pulpy graphic novel flair to the art style, where you explore Wolf Island, slashing through monsters, unraveling conspiracies, and dying over and over again as you piece together the dark tapestry behind the apocalypse. Combat is fast and intense as you chain combos, cancel moves, harness artifacts and enchantments to amplify damage, and layer on abilities to survive the gauntlet of enemies. Interestingly, you can play as a member of the Lost Agents or Key Agents, each with their own narratives that uncover different layers of the story. Between runs, unlock new abilities, gear, enchantments and secrets, gradually expanding what is possible in each attempt, giving you the tools to push on further. Story moments are woven into the gameplay itself, using hand-drawn comic panels that interrupt the action to dole out the lore as you fight, so even deaths do move the story along in a manner similar to Hades. But what a visual style which makes this stand out. We also have the Steam release of PixelJunk Eden 2, one which transports you back into lush, evolving minimalist gardens where you play as a tiny creature using ropes and fluid motion to swing, spin, and leap across organic landscapes in search of spectra, the source of light and life. The gardens are alive, where plants grow, vines extend, and seeds sprout, so the traversal isn't just about platforming, but about interacting with and shaping your environment to reach new places. You collect pollen by chaining swings and defeating roaming creatures, then use it to charge dormant seeds, which burst into structures which you can use to explore deeper layers of the world. Along the way, you unlock new playable characters, each with special movement options, and looks like a fun world to simply be in. It has a full single-player story mode as well as local co-op for 2 players, allowing you to explore with a friend, and has player interactions as well. I love the dreamlike visuals of the harmony of art, color and sound, so whether you're a fan of the first entry or never even heard of this before, I do think there's something of interest here. Plus Ultra Legado is a self-styled comic-vania Metroidvania set in 16th century Mesoamerica, merging historical confrontation with action exploration across a beautifully drawn comic aesthetic. You explore interconnected ruins and colonial cities, running, climbing and unlocking abilities that reshape how you explore, revisiting old zones with new powers, breaking walls, climbing and opening up secret paths and shortcuts. Combat is dynamic as you build weapons, dodge attacks, and use your tools and skills to confront both mythical beasts and colonial adversaries. Of course, the art style is worth a mention, being literally framed as a comic book, looking like a Tintin comic or something, and is quite amazing to see in action. I love weird indie games, and a title that fits the bill is Pocket Boss, where you manipulate data on behalf of your boss, but not in the way you might expect. Instead of being a spreadsheet title, which can be fun in its own right, you are physically interacting with office charts, pulling, pushing, flicking, and more to solve these interactive puzzles. Manipulate pie charts, bar graphs, scatter plots, and more to adjust trends, increase productivity statistics, boosting customer satisfaction, erasing losses, and more, all while the boss's demands shift and pressure mounts. There's a narrative element as you figure out office niceties and how honest you should be, since that affects promotions, story paths, and the multiple endings. I do love the simple but effective art style, turning a boring everyday task into so much more, with room for humor as well and looks cleverly made. Rise Eterna 2 is the follow-up to a turn-based tactical RPG set a few years after the events of the first game, and places you at the front line of a war between two families fighting over the throne while a third party plots in the shadows. You play as a loyal soldier seeking to restore his empire, leading squads of characters through tactical turn-based missions across varied biomes and shifting terrain. Positioning matters as you take advantage of cover, elevation, or special terrain effects that can favour attack or defense. It has an RPG slant, think Fire Emblem, so your characters can unlock skills and use gems to enhance their abilities, progressing down branching upgrade paths for greater specializations. Recruit new allies and test different team combinations, with the Warring Houses backdrop being about as classic as it can be and might be for fans of the genre. Runeborn is a dark fantasy roguelite symbol builder mixing deck building with slot machine mechanics, but not in the traditional sense where the reels go from top to down, but rather left to right here instead, as you attempt to match symbols to cause damage and activate abilities, being able to strategically lock up to 8 runes to better your odds, with Wrangling Luck being one of the main mechanics. As you fight through corrupted realms, you'll collect over 150 different types of trinkets that adds auras, multipliers, extra triggers, and wild effects to juice your spells even further. You can amplify damage, chain reactions, or radically alter how runes behave, resulting in strategic depth as you attempt to find an overpowered build. However, danger scales fast as well, with elite enemies and bosses with special mechanics and resistances, so you must adapt on the fly rather than rely on static builds. Between runs, you unlock new runes, scrolls, and amulets, adding build variety, looking like an interesting take on the symbol building roguelite with a great art style as well. A 16-bit action-adventure RPG right out of the SNES era is Shrine's Legacy, where you play as Rio and Reima, trying to restore the Sword of the Shrine by gathering elemental gems in order to save the land from a dark power. Combat is in real time as you swing your sword, cast elemental magic, and switch between both heroes on the fly to match enemy types and terrain. Explore an open world full of secrets, puzzles, hidden dungeons, and branching paths that open up as you unlock new magic. You'll find crafting materials, jewels, currency, and gear that upgrades your characters with one of the best pixel art styles that I have come across. It also supports 2-player co-op, so each player controls one character, where coordination and communication then become key. This has been in development for a long time and did undergo a visual upgrade through development as well, which I appreciate, so I'm happy to see it make it to release. Swamp Keeper is a fast-paced, top-down action arena shooter where you assume the role of the Secret Swamp's guardian, armed with a single bow and are tasked to repel waves of invaders who threaten your home. You pull, aim, and release your arrows with deadly precision, with one-shot, one-kill gameplay where any mistake might just cost you everything. Enemies come in tight formations and varying patterns, forcing you to move, dodge, and pick angles that let your arrows land true. As you fight, you unlock arrow upgrades, skill modifiers, and parts that customizes how your shots behave, from piercing, improving range, drawing time, knocking time, and more. Boss fights mix up the action by presenting you with tougher foes, which require different strategies as compared to fodder enemies, with some great anthropomorphic pixel art characters as well. There's no mention of the structure of the game, if it is run-based, linear or arcadey, but definitely looks like a title of interest. October really is spooky season, with The Lacerator being a throwback survival horror title that looks impressive. This plunges you into a twisted slasher nightmare where losing your limbs changes everything. You play as Max, a famous adult film star in the 1980s who gets captured along with his crew by a deranged killer and have to fight your way free. You can lose limbs in this game but not die, instead drastically affecting the abilities and movement available to you. You explore the maze-like lair of the killer, stumbling upon trap-filled rooms, finding key items and resources, and solving environmental puzzles while having to defend yourself against some horrible enemies. Multiple endings depend on which route you take, what tools you gather, and how far you push despite injuries. It has both fixed camera angles and over-the-shoulder camera, as well as tank controls as a nod to classic survival horror, looking weird and kind of insane, and is but a taste of the indie horror game scene. Treasure and Trio is a tile-based puzzle game inspired by the classic Sokoban-style titles, but upgraded with 3 distinct heroes whose unique powers you must use to solve clever challenges. You control a warrior who pushes with brute force, a nimble thief who slips past traps, and a wizard who teleports between gaps, switching between them during a stage to navigate hazards, traps, and the level layout itself. You push blocks, disarm mechanisms, and utilize monsters to aid you, combining their abilities to reach otherwise unreachable areas. Progress feels natural, as each world introduces new hazards from lava, shifting floors, enemies, and more that cleverly makes you think about how best to use your characters, looking kind of cute with a decent pixel art style. This one's for indie game developers. The free indie game marketing resources are ready, so sign up via the link in the description below to get it in your mailbox. Another title with hype behind it is oneway.exe Module 1.0, which traps you inside an abandoned video game as you explore Untitled.exe to unearth what happened to its 3 developers and why the code itself is decaying around you. You explore glitched rooms, corrupted environments, and shifting architecture, solving puzzles and finding clues. Dig through email logs and folders while the UI distorts around you, and where haunting whispers play in your ears, gradually revealing the dark secrets of the game. It is based on internet culture and the various evolving eras of the internet, so depending on which part and when you were most involved with the internet, this game might hit differently, but it's a very strange, very creepy kind of title that might just end up with a cult following. We also have the release of Yooka-Replaylee this week, a remake and expansion of the Kickstarted 3D platformer, which promised a new era of Banjo-Kazooie style games, but didn't quite hit the mark back then. You are guiding the chameleon and bat duo Yooka-Replaylee through various worlds teeming with secrets to reclaim the pages of the world's most valuable book. You run, jump, glide, whip, and fly across lush landscapes, adding more challenges, collectibles, smoother controls, and even more secrets and upgrades to hunt down. Every level has been redesigned, shifting collectible locations and adding more stuff, such as more pages to collect, hidden challenges to unearth, and expanded maps that encourage returning to earlier zones, along with a richer story woven throughout the adventure. The remake upgrades graphics, animations, and camera for 2025 standards while still retaining the heart of the duo's quirky chemistry and platforming roots. Other new features includes a map system, objective tracker, fast travel options, new minigames, a new collectible currency, an orchestral version of the soundtrack, and much more, looking also charming and will be for 3D platformer fans. One of the best looking games of the week is Bye Sweet Carol, a haunting hand-drawn narrative horror adventure that mixes fairy tales with creeping dread. You take on the role of Lana Benton, searching for her missing friend Carol Simmons, tracing her steps through the eerie Bunny Hall orphanage. There's a dual worlds setup of the real world and that of the dreamlike kingdom of Corolla. A land which is both beautiful and ominous as our tale unfolds. It's an adventure platformer, so you have to sneak past dangers, solve environmental puzzles, and alternate between human and rabbit forms, each giving you different strengths and risks. The hand-drawn, classic Disney movie art style and animations look gorgeous and is made frame by frame, and impressively is not just limited to cutscenes but extends to the gameplay itself. You'll meet characters like the umbrella-wielding Mr. Basie, which helps you, and antagonists like a monstrous owl, having to figure out what they want as you go on your journey. I believe this is a relatively linear title with a story to tell, but my goodness, how great does the game look, which does give it an almost Cuphead level of shine to it. From one of the minds behind Gwent comes the generic sounding Dice Legends, but don't let the title fool you. There should be something to this roguelite deck builder since it fuses cards, dice and RPG progression. You pick one of 3 heroes who each use a different type of dice, D6, D8 or D12, and roll them each turn. These then become the currency to activate your cards, ranging from attack, defense or buffs. Some cards require exact values, others with more flexibility, and managing the balance between risk and reward becomes the core of your strategy. As you defeat enemies, you collect loot, new cards and relics that amplify or twist how your dice work, letting you lean into synergies or break the mold entirely. There is a node-based map with various points of interest, from selecting challenging elite fights resting at a camp or visiting a shop, as you seek to uncover the mystery of the last human, a mage who reshaped the world. I love the pixel art, animations, and honestly, even concept art and animated trailers shown off so far, having previewed well during its playtest, and refreshingly will not be an early access release and could be the next big deck builder hit. I am thoroughly impressed with the quality and consistency of publisher-developer.emu as well as Gut Crush Games, having been entrusted with IP like Streets of Rage, Ninja Gaiden and Monster Boy, where they are making their own original IP this time around in Absalom, a fantasy roguelite beat-em-up that is a throwback to the arcade classics of old but deepens combat, adds branching paths, upgrades as well as high replayability. You choose a unique hero and dive into the world of Talanth, a realm ruled by oppressive magic under the Sun King Azra. Use fluid combos, mixing light and heavy attacks, counters, dashes, and even perfect dodges that let you deflect blows and punish enemies, earning buffs as you clear rooms and tweak your build for the run. If you fall in combat, you return to a hub area and unlock permanent upgrades with roguelite randomization, ensuring that each run feels fresh. There will also be co-op support, and honestly, beat-em-ups are better with friends, but I'm curious as to how the single-player experience will be, with great art and action, which makes this an obvious pick. Watch this video for more of the best indie games.